thank you so much for coming back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Johnny and I'm a zookeeper, and I take care of animals that actually go off grounds and do education programs, which I do on a regular basis, especially through the summer. Today we're going to meet a really cool owl. His name is Archimedes, and he is one of the largest owls you can find in the entire world. So we're just gonna go ahead and get right to it. This is Archimedes the Eurasian Eagle Owl. I probably will be calling him Archie for most of the video, but his name is Archimedes. And like I said, he is a Eurasian Eagle Owl. So if a lot of you are familiar with owls around here in the United States, a lot of people see him and think that he looks like a great horned owl. He is not a great horned owl. He is not found here in North America, but we would actually have to go all the way over to Europe and Asia to find him, hence a Eurasian Eagle Owl. And this is one of the largest owls you can find in the entire world. He is not the longest or the heaviest, but he has one of the longest wingspans in the entire world. They have wingspans anywhere from 5 to 7 feet, which is very impressive. And Archimedes here, if you guys have ever seen a Eurasian Eagle Owl, you might be thinking he's a very large owl, but he is not as big as others that I have seen. Archie is a male. He is only about 4 pounds, so he's really not all that giant, but a female will probably be at least twice his size, so a lot bigger. But he still has a very impressive wingspan, which I will actually pop in a video of him flying to catch his food right now. Archie, having that really big wingspan, you would think that they're pretty noisy like most birds that you see or hear when you're outside, especially things maybe like pigeons, or if you've ever been around a parrot or really anything else. They're pretty noisy when they fly, even little tiny birds. But Archimedes being gigantic, you can't actually hear him fly. He has really special feathers on all over his wings that are frayed, kind of like a comb or the bottom of your jeans, maybe if your pants are a little bit too long, and that allows the air to pass through his wings, and he's completely silent when he flies, so he can sneak up on animals that he wants to eat, like that rat or mouse that you saw in that video. And that is actually how he catches his food, is with these massive talons. This is the strongest part of Archie's body, so he will use that to take down really anything, any type of rodent, which is what most owls really enjoy eating. They like to eat any other even bigger mammals. Because Eurasian Eagle Owls are so large, especially the females, they've actually been seen catching small deer, which is very impressive. They also like to eat things like reptiles. Really anything that they can find that is edible, they will eat it. One very impressive thing is that owls are one of the main predators of animals like skunks, because owls are one of those birds that cannot smell. So if he gets sprayed and he smells really bad, he doesn't really care, because remember, he has those really special feathers that make him silent when he flies. So when he's flying after things, even though he stinks, they can't hear him coming, so they have no idea where that smell is coming from. I think he might see himself in my phone, which is pretty impressive. So I guess we'll talk about those giant eyes. Again, back to the great horned owl. If you have seen them, they do have yellow eyes. They're a bit smaller than these guys, and they look a little bit different, but Archie has these bright, beautiful, big orange eyes. And he uses his eyes to come out at nighttime, because he's nocturnal, to find things to eat. So because his eyes are so massive, it allows his pupils to get really big. So you can kind of see, they're obviously not super huge because it's not nighttime right now, but it allows all of the extra light from the moon and the stars into his eyes to be able to see things really well and be able to hunt. He would be able to read the date printed on a coin if he was at the opposite end of a football field than you. He can also see a lit flame from across the football field, which is something we cannot see and would not be able to see. So very impressive eyes. If we had eyes like an owl, our eyeballs in our head would be the size of a softball or a grapefruit, which is insane. But his eyes are not actually spherical and round like ours. They're longer, kind of like tubes, which doesn't allow Archie to move his eyeballs in his head, which is why he's kind of showing you guys he can turn his head really far. So A lot of times cartoons and movies will show us things that unfortunately are not true about animals. One of the things with owls that we see a lot of time is that owls can turn their head 360 degrees. He cannot do that. He has bones in his neck, just like we can't turn our head too far because we have bones in our neck. So what he can do is he can actually turn his head 270 degrees, which is still pretty crazy. So I'm sure you've seen him kind of turn his head to 180 degrees, and he can go a little bit further to 270, but then he's got to turn his head back around. He cannot do a 360. Sometimes we say that'd be a one-time trick for Archie, and never again would he be able to do that, unfortunately. Now, a lot of owls like to use their eyesight to obviously find food that they like to eat, but they also have to watch out for other animals that are coming after them. Archimedes, being a Eurasian eagle owl and the largest owl in the world, he actually has no natural predators, which makes him an apex predator, which again just means that he has no natural predators in the wild, so he doesn't have to worry about other things. And so while we're looking at Archie, I'm sure you guys have noticed these ear tufts up here on top of his head. Sometimes people will ask if those are his ears. That is not his ears. Those just kind of help him kind of express what he's feeling maybe to other owls. It helps him blend in a little bit more when he's up in the trees. So he has this nice beautiful pattern for camouflage to be able to blend in really well. I'll actually include a picture that I took of him, and there's just a little section where his feathers in the tree that's in the background blends in really nicely, and you can see how well he would blend in if he was all the way up in the trees, and it would be really hard to find him. So his ears are not symmetrical like our ears. He has one that's a little bit higher and one that's a little bit lower, so they're asymmetrical to be able to hear really, really well. He can hear things up above him, he can hear things down below him, and he can more accurately pinpoint where things are coming from. Similar to him being able to see from really far away, he has amazing hearing, and generally owls can hear a mouse from under a foot of snow or a foot under the ground, which is very impressive. We would never be able to do that. They can also hear a mouse's heartbeat. I can't hear my heartbeat. I certainly can't hear his heartbeat, and our hearts are a lot bigger than a mouse. But he would be able to hear a mouse's heartbeat, which is completely insane. One of my favorite things about owls is how impressive their hearing is. So Archie, again, is a giant bird. Like I said earlier, he's only 4 pounds. So a lot of times people are confused because he looks like he should be an 8-pound animal. If he was not a flighted bird, he probably should be about 8 pounds or more. But he looks a lot smaller if he did not have all of those feathers. Archie's head is pretty small if he didn't have all these feathers. So it doesn't leave a whole lot of space in his head for how large his eyes are. So like if we all go to the doctor, especially when we're younger, and the doctor likes to check our ears and make sure that they're nice and clean with that little flashlight, when owls go to the vet and they check their ears, you can actually see the backs of their eyeballs through their ears, that is my favorite fact. I know I said that about something else earlier, but that's actually my favorite fact because it's really awesome and it's super, super weird, and something that, I don't know, something that some people would want to see and something that people would not want to see. It's really interesting. I've Googled it before. It's very interesting. Oh, he's doing his 180 neck turn. He's doing it again. I think there's some people back behind us. He's trying to listen to what they're doing. Before I had mentioned his head is pretty small and his eyes are so large that you can actually see his eyes through his ear holes. That, honestly, it's kind of sad. It doesn't leave a whole lot of space for a brain. But Archie doesn't need a large brain. He doesn't need to think a whole lot because he can hear a mouse's heartbeat, which is insane. He can see things like the date printed on a coin from a football field away, which again is insane. And he's completely silent when he flies. So that makes an owl, no matter how big or how small, an ultimate predator. They are going to be very successful hunters because those animals can't hear him coming. They obviously can't see him before he sees them. He just doesn't need to be smart. He doesn't need to be able to process things. He needs to be able to decide, oh, there's food, I'm gonna go get it. Or if he's a smaller owl in a different species, oh, that might be danger, I need to fly away. They don't really need to process information because, again, they're the ultimate predator. They don't really have to worry about a whole lot, especially an owl like him. He has no natural predator, so it's either fight or flight with these guys. That's it. There's no thinking through, is that noise scary? They don't care. They're just gonna get away from it, which is very smart. Archie is saying goodbye to everybody. I love that he's staring and so interested in the camera and interested in seeing you guys. And you can see that he's looking into the depths of your soul, possibly. But he's a beautiful owl. One last thing that I do want to mention has to do with things that Archie likes to eat. So owls are all over the world. We can find them everywhere. We can find plenty here in the United States, and they love to eat rodents. So they are our natural pest control. They're eating all those mice and rats and things that are coming to our house or school or anywhere that we are that are making a mess and potentially making us really sick. So one thing, if you like owls or love them and you want to keep them around to help us with that pest control, and because they're beautiful and they belong here with us, one thing that you can do to help them out is if you do have a pest problem with mice or rats in your home or at your place of work, just don't use poison traps, because those mice and those rats are eating that poison. They're going somewhere else. They're going outside, and then animals like owls and hawks and potentially eagles and a lot of other things that we want and really need around are eating those mice, and then they're getting sick. And potentially dying from all of that poison that those mice and those rats are eating. And I actually just saw a post recently about someone setting sticky traps, and a hawk was going after a mouse that was caught in the sticky trap, and it got caught, and now it is rehabilitating, and hopefully it can be released into the wild. There are other humane ways to trap mice that are not going to go out and affect animals like this that we don't necessarily want to affect. So just think about the things that you do and how it affects the wildlife around you, because no matter where you live, if you live in the middle of the city, you still have animals like this guy that are helping you out. Well, I think that is it for the day. Archimedes is doing really well. I didn't actually talk about how old he is. These guys can live a very long time. Archimedes is about 19 years old. If he was in the wild, he'd be old. They potentially live an average of 20 years in the wild, but Archimedes in the zoo, for the most part, eagle owls in captivity can live up to 60 years. So Archie is basically like a baby. So hopefully he will be around for a very long time. Well, I think that is about it for us. I hope you guys learned a lot about Archimedes, or Archie. I keep switching it up the whole entire time. I don't know why. And you enjoyed it and you learned something and you really like owls now, and you think about things that you do that might affect an animal like this that might be out in your backyard. Well, thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video in my channel, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye. Yummy.